Coming up on Open for Business, we talk to Erin Snell, the Executive Director of Charting Careers. Today on Open for Business, we're highlighting Charting Careers and Erin Snell, their Executive Director. We're going to discuss the relationship they have with Anne Arundel County Schools, as well as the community and the surrounding community. Erin, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
It's really great what you do, and so I want to give you the honor to explain what Charting Careers is and what you do with the organization.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me again. And we are a nonprofit supporting young people and families here in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. We started in 2018 and have been growing and expanding, and we're very grateful to partner with AACPS and particularly the Equity Office there. But our mission is all about inspiring youth to discover their power and reach their goals. And we do that through long-term mentoring, education, and family and community partnership. And so what that means, because it sounds like a lot, is we work with young people, AACPS students, starting in second grade, and then follow those same students through elementary, middle, high school, too, and through college and career. Because what we do is long-term and wraparound, we are careful about how many students we serve. Right now, we have about 70 students in that long-term pipeline. We provide after-school programming with our students in partnership with different community organizations, but particularly Annapolis Maritime Museum. So twice a week, students in our elementary and middle school program come to Maritime and get their amazing environmental programming, and then also get our academic support, social emotional support, and reading tutoring. And in middle school, students come after school, and their focus is more on that academic and career exploration piece. And then in high school, our students, we meet them at Annapolis High School during Panther 30 and provide college and career readiness and really helping them prepare for what comes next. We're thrilled that we have so far 100% graduation rate of students in our program, and that means we have 15 students who have started and are working in college. Some of them are struggling, some of them are really thriving, but our mission is to support them all the way through. And what makes us different is we focus on students who might be facing obstacles or challenges. And so we know that often you can't support a young person properly without supporting the whole family unit. And so in addition to that educational piece, we also have family partnership wraparound services. So we have a team who helps link families' mental health services and who helps parents if they want to go back to school. And it's really through that long-term trust-building relationship where I feel we're able to really make a difference. Because I know for teachers, I used to be a teacher myself, and you work so hard with a student all year to build trust and get to know the family, and then you have to not get to see them as often. And so for us, it's wonderful that we get to stay with them through their whole career, which really allows us to get to know them and assist them on their journeys. And then also, we know how much it matters to have trusted adults in students' lives. So just like the Be Present initiative and the mentoring initiatives here now at AACPS, we work to match students with one-to-one mentors. So as students transition from elementary school to middle school, we work to match them with a mentor and then try to support that relationship throughout the rest of their career. At a minimum, though, we hope to support that relationship for a year, because sometimes for volunteers it's a lot to ask for more than a year, but that is our hope. During the pandemic, which is when we started partnering with ACPS in a deeper level with Dr. Gillen's office, we hired leaders who live in the neighborhoods where many of our students live, who are our community impact specialists. And these leaders work with additional families and students from AACPS to link with resources. And so they might help parents understand how to do Power School, or they might help kids enroll in summer camps, or they might be enrolling them in our programming, our other programming. So that's another initiative that we have.
You do so many things, and it just, as the executive director, you look at the scope of what you have to watch over. So that means you probably likely have a lot of people that work with you that handle a lot of things and wear a lot of hats. In that process, what are some of the highlights? You know, one or two things that you've seen. I mean, you can use this year or since your inception, that you're like, wow, you know, we did that, and it's something that you think it's a sort of a hallmark moment.
Sure. Well, what comes to mind first for me is one of our college students, Janice, who was our scholarship speaker last year and actually just recently was a speaker at our Black Tie and Diamonds event that the Rotary gave for us. But Janice is now in her third year at Towson University. And to hear her speaking in front of hundreds of people about her success in college and her journey and how important her mentor was and what a difference it can make when you have people who can help you see a bigger vision for yourself than you might automatically think is your potential. But knowing, hearing from her specifically that our programming did help, but also just to get to see the leader that she is and who she has become is just makes it all worth it for me. We also have a student in college who is starting her own pastry business and is about to graduate at AACC. So for me, the joy of seeing her succeeding. And then, too, to see families making progress. So we have really seen some families who are very much struggling be able to get mental health support and be able to kind of get themselves on a new footing. And so for me and our staff, and a lot of those things are behind the scenes. So we don't tell people about that. That's all very private information. But for us to get to see that growth within a student and a family makes it all worth it too.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're in the process of building an amazing alumni network for,
Yes.
what will happen in the future. A lot of successful people. Now, you mentioned working within the school system, which is super important because the school system wants to have partners that can be an extension where they may be unable to do things. So
Absolutely.
where sort of is the focus in that? Where you said you work with the equity office, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Yep.
How did that relationship start, and where do you sort of hope that it continues to go?
Absolutely. It started, I know Dr. Gillens and I were on many equity calls in the summer or during the time of the pandemic and trying to help figure out how do we make sure students have computers and students who can't necessarily have transportation to a high school to pick up a computer. How could community organizations help? And so we were doing a lot of advocacy with our students, and so that's how Dr. Gillens and I got connected. And so what I see us being able to do is because we are as a small nonprofit, we're able to be nimble. And we're also able to be often a lot more community based. So our staff can go in. I know there are some staff who are able to do that in ACPS, but our staff can go to homes. They can do a lot more outside of the school day. And outside of some of the typical schedules. So I feel like I often kind of think about it as all of us working together as like a big octopus and that our tentacles can kind of go a little bit deeper into communities. And again, that piece where we're able to be that long-term partner makes us different and hopefully helpful to the school system.
And so just asking the question because I think it's such an important one, and you've given such a full answer. But figuring out how you choose
God.
what you do is so vital to your mission, right?
Right.
And so you think the process that you do to choose it is one that is obviously you're just sort of the end all, but like in your circle, what all is involved in that as well?
Like, how do we pick what we're going to work on? How do we strategize?
Yeah.
So we try to think about what is going to have the biggest impact on the students and families that we're working with, and also where are there the biggest gaps. So we know transportation is a major gap, and so we've worked to be able to partner with other organizations to be able to provide transportation for students after school. We also know that reading is critical, and kids being able to read on level is essential for so many life opportunities. So prioritizing that. And we've also known through so much research that other people have done that trusted adult relationships matter above so many other things. So we focused on that, and then thinking about how it's called the social ecological model of prevention, but we follow this evidence-based program or practice rather, that you don't work in isolation with a young person. You're going to have the most impact if you're thinking about them as an individual, them as part of relationships, part of the community, and then part of a systems level. And so that's why what we do seems kind of complicated, but it's because we don't want to just be in isolation. We want to work with the whole community in support of each young person.
And speaking of the initiatives you do, what are some initiatives that, we've talked about what you're doing in schools, but obviously you have other initiatives that exist. So what are some other initiatives that you think people should be aware of that you want to highlight?
Absolutely. So, in our programming with those 70 students in that model, and also the neighbors that we support in communities, we always need volunteers. And so, we need both one to one mentors, we need tutors, we also need really involved board members. So, if there are people who have a skill set that they would like to share, we welcome those types of people who want to give of their time. We also need funding. So, again, we're very grateful to partner with the school system, and some of that is with a contract. But we are also raising a lot of money each year. We do not charge anything for our services. And so each year it's quite a budget that we have to fundraise for. So we're always looking for new funding opportunities and investments in those ways. And then lastly, we feel it's so important for kids to see people who look like them in different career fields. And so we also have a career professional network where we're always looking for people who can't necessarily give an hour a week, but maybe can give an hour a semester and come for a career day. So if you go to our website, just at chartingcareers.org, there's a place that says volunteer or mentor, and then you can see all the different volunteer options as well as give on our website.
Awesome. So, in closing, are there any events or anything like that that you have coming up? And if so, how can they get in contact with you? I know you mentioned the website, but how can they get in contact with you or the correct people in order to
Absolutely.
connect to those things?
Yes, absolutely. Well, on our website, it does have staff email addresses. My email is just Erin, ERIN, at chartingcareers.org. In terms of upcoming events, we have our annual scholarship and awards night coming up in May, where we partner with other groups to be able to raise funds to give scholarships to all of our college students and seniors. And so that's really exciting. So we are looking for sponsors still for that and scholarship donors. And then this summer, we're going to be doing our kind of walk and reads with kids, but also doing some continued college visits and field trips. And so we would love to have volunteers join us on those endeavors in the summer as well.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here, and I appreciate what you do and what your organization does, the people in your organization, and AACPS and the community appreciate that a lot.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure.
And thank you for watching Open for Business.